It is day 3 of the 2020 election, and the winner is that's where we are, folks. We are in day 3 of the pandemic election, Biden versus Trump. I am Dr. Russell Robinson, coming to you live with the Intellectual Soul Food Lunch Buffet. The aftermath of the 2020 election. We are so happy to have you with us. We are joined for part 2 of our election day coverage. We wanted to call it the aftermath, but we have no aftermath because we're still in the middle of a holding pattern. I'm joined today by 4 to 5 of our usual panelists, actually 3. We'll get the other ones in a minute. I have Key. Key, say something nice to the people.
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? Today we're going to be talking about, well, we were supposed to be talking about the aftermath, like he said, but we're going to just be talking about what's going on right now. You know, everybody's feelings. I know y'all are anxious. I'm anxious, so I'm ready to get into it.
Also with us, we have Taylor. Taylor, what's going good with you? How are you feeling post-election?
I'm anxious right now. I'm just ready to see the results. I'm just waiting. I feel like every time I check, it's at the same point. But, you know, just waiting.
Very good. And then we now also have with us Chelsea Reed, coming to us live from her lavatory, aka the bathroom.
Yep.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah.
So what are your first takes on the election aftermath?
It's still kind of nerve-wracking. It's like, okay, we kind of know what it's going to be, but like anything can happen at this point. So I'm waiting on the results.
Very good. And then we also have with us our pundit, our version of Don Lemon, Wolf Blitzer, all rolled into one, Dallas Clements. What's going on, Dallas? How you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well. As far as the election is concerned, I have a feeling that Biden might win. That's what it's looking like right now. But like everybody else is saying, we just have to wait and see.
And last, certainly not least, and we'll have some others, we have Quasia. Welcome to the squad, Quasia. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Hey, y'all. Like Chelsea said, I'm just waiting to see what happens. Like, we kind of know already, but anything can happen at this point, so just waiting.
We don't know. We really don't know. I
Yeah.
can't say if we know. It's anything's possible. I can tell you that on Tuesday night, while I was taking care of another matter, which I won't go into detail here, on Tuesday night, I was watching like everyone else. I'm thinking, okay, we are getting it on to settle a score. It's the showdown for the White House. And what happens? The race is close. It's crazy close. And I'm like, I agree with all of you. Where is our winner? Where is our winner? But as you saw in the opening clip, our current president, Donald Trump, says that they were prepared to call victory. And he's basically called it a victory. But then he had to walk it back. What are your first impressions on what you saw?
My first impression was that he just assumed that he won based off of what he thought, assumptions, just that. And that wasn't the case. It was good to see that Biden did make that turnaround. He was able to make that turnaround. And it made me feel good because I'm like, okay, we one step closer to not having this guy as our president.
Well, as we saw that, though, we also saw there's a lot of political stuff at play. We're finding out now that the real factor of the election was, in fact, the pandemic. Someone tell me about that. What's happened with the pandemic? How does the pandemic impacting the vote count? Who wants to crack at that? I'll jump to you, Taylor.
I know with our current president, some people find, COVID pretty serious and they're taking it very seriously. And they may feel like, our current president isn't doing so. And even in the beginning, I know he wasn't taking it seriously when it first came out. And then we went to the pandemic and it seems as though he's even had COVID and now he still isn't taking it seriously. So people who find that, very important to them and is worried about that with them and their families may have, leaned towards somebody who they think may take it more seriously and may be worried about our safety a little more.
Dallas, what about you? Or Chelsea? Let's start with you, Chelsea.
I really like just the way he kind of started talking about this pandemic, especially with the mail-in ballots. I really feel like if he hadn't have said like mail-in ballots, I feel like he would have won the presidency. Honestly, I don't think he's going to win because they haven't finished counting the ballots. I feel like once they finish counting all these ballots, he out.
I think a lot of people would like to see him go. You have a lot of people who'd like to see him stay. In fact, let's take a look at this quick clip that we have that comes to us from MSNBC.
People in the crowd are not wearing masks. We're keeping a respectful distance, but a loud and very boisterous crowd. You'll start hearing them start up here. And they're actually chanting, "Fox News sucks. Fox News sucks." The reason why they're chanting that is because Fox News called Arizona for Biden yesterday, and a lot of people are angry about that. We have not called Arizona. A lot of other.
That's interesting. Talk to me about why that's interesting. You have the conservative news network, the conservative news channel, Fox, and you have Trump supporters picketing Fox News. What do you think about that?
Everything's just backfiring because generally Trump is a supporter of Fox News and Fox News is a supporter of Trump. But now we're seeing everything's backfiring on Trump. He put a big hole in everything. He just spoke too soon.
Others?
Yeah, I think I don't know if they're saying that they're for Biden because of the numbers or whatever, but it's really close in a lot of states, but I think that they don't want to hear that Trump might lose. So it might not necessarily be that Fox has a certain opinion, it's just they're stating the facts.
Well, that's the other thing we have to take a look at here, because we're noticing that as they're talking about the facts, these political maps are differing by news network by news network. We'll notice in one regard that currently, as of today, November 5th, 2020, at 1:28 Eastern Standard Time, CNN is going to say that Biden is leading Trump at a score of 253 to 213. You'll also find that as well on CBS and possibly ABC. Whereas you take a look at, let's say, and I wish we had the graphic, you'll have Fox, who has Trump at 264, in addition to the AP, has Biden at 264, in addition to the AP, in addition to Huffington Post. All of these are reputable sources. Why do you think we have such conflicting information? And why do you think, thank you. You know what? Let me go ahead. I appreciate that, Taylor. Which one are you using? Who are you using?
This is just like when I Google it, the Associated Press comes up and it says they haven't called the race.
No, they're not called
at
that.
264.
They're acting as if
Yeah.
he won Arizona already. And that's why it's coming up as that.
So now that's kind of weird, because when you take a look at this, our news that we have institutionalized, we want to believe that our news is fair, balanced, sorry, Fox, but most importantly, accurate. In fact, CNN is now saying for their tagline, facts matter. So the question is, where's the accuracy in this? And how is this playing into our psyche?
I feel like obviously it's a very important election for a lot of people, and I'm thinking they just want to get information out as soon as possible, even though we probably should wait, you know what I mean, until things are more solid. So that's why I'm thinking the numbers are different from platform to platform because it's continuing. We're continuing to count votes. You know what I mean? It's not said and done yet.
Right. And I think the other thing that you talked about too, or we've mentioned, is the fact that people look at this as a high stakes election. We talked about this the other day. What are some of the things that are so important? What are the things that are viscerally important to you and from your standpoint in regards to who you are, you know, how you live your life? What's important for you in our current president or our next president?
Equality.
Talk to me about equality.
I mean, the main thing that we've been touching base on this whole semester, racism, you know, for 400 years has been going on, and we still haven't been deemed equal, you know, in society. And I would like to see us be treated with the same respect that we're expected to give these people. Police brutality, I would love to see no more of that, of course. Those are my main two.
And as you talk about equality, this comes to us from Now This Is News. And they're stating that Muslim Americans have made historic firsts in the 2020 election. And in fact, we can double down on that. We actually have a queer Muslim who is now a congresswoman. Talk to me about that. I mean, do you think that now with what we have happening, do you think that we're now really we're really looking at that American melting pot through the lens of sincerity?
I believe so, since these are people that we are voting in.
Okay. Someone else. Chelsea?
Yeah, these are elected officials, so to see that people are finally realizing that just because you're gay or whatever, you're Muslim, it shouldn't matter as long as you're fighting for what I believe in. Why wouldn't I vote you in?
Good points. Good points. In fact, I think this person, I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Yes, she is a Democrat. I'm going to see if I can pull her up real quick. Let's
Chuck
see.
wants to get in the show whenever you get a chance.
You know he's here.
Right.
Chuck wants to get in. I'm going to see if I can get Jalil to join us because he was chiming in last time. But yes, we have Marie Turner, an out queer Muslim, and she is now a representative, I believe. I want to say from Oklahoma. I'm not sure if that's Oklahoma. Someone might be Oklahoma. Have to double check. But yes, that's what we have happening right now. We also had our first true transgender person who is now taking office. I mean, it's an exciting time, I think, in American politics. Talk to me about, when we talk about this Muslim piece, though, how do we compare and contrast that with where we were 19 years ago? What happened 19 years ago on September 11, 2001?
I feel like our view on Muslims have changed. Since then, we've become more open to a sense. Not everyone, but you know, some people. Because, like I said, we're electing these people in, so I feel like we've definitely made progress in some aspects, but there's definitely change to be made.
So I'm going to go ahead and bring in Mr. Football Hero himself,
More than tackles, but you made
Chuck Manning. Chuck Manning, you have graced us with your presence. So glad that you could join us this afternoon. Tell us your opinions on where we are with the 2020 election, day 3.
Personally, to me, I think that it's a lot of the mail imbalance. That's what's caused it to stretch out as far. And President Trump I think, is doing everything in his power to keep it stretching, so he have a potential chance at winning again. And if you go back and look to the Jimmy Fallon show, Bernie Sanders actually predicted this all happening. He predicted that Trump it would seem as if he would in Wisconsin, like states like Wisconsin, Arizona, and Pennsylvania, they would come in, and say, "Well, thank you for reelecting me." But then once they go in and get those mail-in ballots, they're going to try to say it's fraudulent and try to, persuade people to think that things were corrupt with the mail-in ballots, because mail-in ballots are typically done by Democrats, and Republicans are typically those that go in and go to polls and vote. So, I think it's just a lot of corruption, and it's just a fact that he's using to try to get another 4 years.
We have a question that comes from us from Key, who was a panelist and is now gone back to being part of the audience. I don't know why. We were hoping you would stay here. But she raises a good question. And folks, I really want you all to talk to each other. So feel free. I don't have to drive the conversation for this. I actually want you all to talk to each other. Nettle says, do you all think the youth votes played a huge role in these people being voted into office? What do you think?
Definitely so. I think that because first of all, I mean, more young people have been voting this election than ever before. I also think that because it's kind of known that like we feel like older people have a mindset where they're kind of stuck in their ways and don't really like change. To whereas this young community, we're all around each other more. We're kind of learning more about each other, different cultures and races and genders. So we're a little more open, I think. So I think that played a big part in it.
Do you agree, Dallas?
I do. I think obviously depending on the era that you grew up in, you're going to have certain values and customs that align with your generation. And I think that when electing a president, the future obviously belongs to the youth. So it's important for them to use their voices to elect someone that they feel like reflects their values.
Well, wait a minute now. You talk about youth and those that reflect their values. So at the risk of aging myself, Kanye West, of all people, got into the election, got on the ballot, and secured 50,000 votes. Now, mind you, Kanye West also has 4 million followers. Do you think that we can get leadership from the youth? Do you think we can get leadership from our hip-hop audience? Do you think we can get leadership, let's say, from folks who are so far out of the arena of politics? What do you think?
I think we can get inspiration from those people, but I wouldn't say leadership. Kanye West being on the ballot is trash. That was just a decoy ballot for them to put up there.
You think so?
I would add in and say inspiration, but I feel that we could actually just be younger and try to see things from a different aspect of viewpoint as opposed to our older individuals or I think that we.
So we actually, wait for it. I want to bring this to your attention. I'm looking at this on Al Jazeera Plus, and I'll see if I can pull up the video for it as well. Al Jazeera Plus is saying that a record number of Native American lawmakers will now join Congress. They're saying 6 Native people have been elected to the House of Representatives. The Democrats and Republicans are representing Hawaii, the Cherokee Nation, the Chickasaw Nation, the Ho-Chunk Nation, Pueblo of Laguna, and Pueblo of Yemez. And that's, again, another turning point for us, do you think? Talk to me about representation. Tell me what are the issues millennial voters need to have immediately addressed. And that goes for anybody watching. What are some of the issues that our millennial voters need to see addressed?
What do you mean?
What are the things that are important to you? What are the things that you've gone out? Have you looked at the platforms? I'm sure you have. If you've looked at the platforms, if you've looked at how you live your life, what is important to you? Me as a man of 49.2, what's important to me is the ability to take care of my family. What's important to me, of course, is a bigger paycheck. What's important to me is making sure I'm not accosted by the police. What's important to me is safety. What's important to me is being able to pay on my student loans, or at least pay them down. What are the things that are important to you? The tax bracket thing that Ice Cube talked about, that's important to him. But I don't know if that's important to you. What's important to you?
They don't make that much.
For me personally, gender equality is important to me because obviously I'm African American. I mean, gender. I'm female, and then racial equality because I'm African American. I'm also a member of the LGBT community, so that's important to me as well. I'm 23. I'm trying to move forward in life and find a career for myself. So just being able to move forward and not be affected by any of those things
We're losing bits and pieces of you, but I think we got
because
the
of any of
gist of
those
it. Okay. Okay. Chuck, what about you?
What's important to me, personally, I would say, like speaking of what you said, I would say gender and racial equality. Just making sure everyone is held in the same light, and those that are like within the black community held under a microscope as opposed to other races. Everyone should be punished or either rewarded the same way. It should be no difference whether I'm a light tone or a darker skin tone. Everyone should be. That's what I'm big on is equality. So everyone should be.
Do you think our current political administrations, not just national, but even local, do you think they've addressed some of these concerns for you?
Currently,
Yes.
like as far as Trump, no.
He's current. So
No.
yes.
Okay, I just had to make sure. Okay, no, of course not.
Some may want him to be past tense, but
Right.
he's still current.
I want him to be a has been really bad. Of course not. I mean, going off of what everybody was saying, I would love to be able to raise children in a society where they're not labeled from the time that they're born. And Trump's views of Black people as thugs, to where there's white people doing the same thing and they're not considered thugs, it just shows that he is I don't know, and not enticing. Well, he kind of is racism. Like he's clearly racist, and they're feeding off of this man's energy, and he's racist to me. I don't care. He's racist.
Add in. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to cut you off, Key. If I can add in, I just don't want to see this country take 10 steps backwards and then ultimately going back or even close to how things were with our ancestors. That's the way it's looking. Talking about he wants a civil war between us as people, and it's you don't need to do that. We were making so much progress as being able to get along with each other and actually being able to at least kind of understand where you come from to us. Maybe not all the way, but since Trump has been in office, that's been total. And just not wanting to see that get any worse or get to that level point. And I think that Trump is obviously a supporter of mainly the rich, and that's a big problem for too. I think he needs to look more so on all the people instead of just people with money.
Well, I guess the question I would raise to all of you then is this. What is it right now? What do you think the opponent is going to be able to do for you? What do you think?
I wanted to ask that question.
Imagine that. Okay, so you can ask it.
Okay, so clearly everyone here voted for Biden. So my question,
you don't know that. You can't assume that.
Okay, well, okay. So my assumption is that everyone here voted for Biden. And so if you did vote for Biden, my question is, what do you think that he'll provide differently from Trump? Where y'all at?
You said what? What you
What will
said?
Biden?
What do you think that Biden is gonna? What is Biden gonna offer differently than Trump?
I mean,
I
that's
personally,
obviously. Oh wait, somebody was talking. I'm sorry.
oh yeah, that
No,
was
they
me.
weren't. Go ahead.
I go-
Go ahead. Go ahead, Dallas. Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say I think his ideologies sort of align a little bit more with mine, obviously, as far as equality, open-mindedness, race, LGBTQ, all those types of things. So I feel like when those ideologies are in place, you can see a change in policy. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping there'll be change in policies based on, his views, and of course Kamala
Yeah,
and
Kamala.
I'm on.
Kamala
I,
and
I,
who
I
he
like
has
to
on his administration, because of course they should be reflective of the kind of ideas that he supports.
yeah, and I like to piggyback off Dallas. Just his ideology. With both our candidates, you can't look past their track record. I mentioned this last time. Biden, from what he's presented to us, it may sound good, but you also have to think back to the '90s when Biden was passing all these laws to make sure people like us, like me, of our color, were locked, called us predators and all. So it may have been some change within from then to now, but still, you never know. So just hoping that he stays true to what he's speaking of equality and trying to change for the better at least.
We got a question from Jocelyn. She's asking us, why do you think Trump has such a major influence on many states? Why do you
I
think? That's a good question.
I think Trump has such a major influence because he is what these people wish that they could be. As far as out in the open, he's out in the open racist. He's like, he gets away with everything, and they thrive to be that. And I feel like they look at him as like an idol, and so that's what it is.
Do you agree or disagree with that, Chelsea?
Yeah.
I really and especially looking at the states that he's won so far, like states in the middle where nobody really talks about. These are like really poor white people live at. So
Mm-hmm.
they see somebody who's famous and up and kind of got the same ideas. They're like, okay, maybe I like him, so I need to support his ideas and what he got going on.
Well, Jalil offers a counterpoint, though, which I think is interesting. Jalil says Trump has over 70 million votes. Every single person can't be a racist. Sure, they're voting their interest, as you should, and I voted for Biden. Okay, thank you for being transparent. So that's interesting. I heard one person even say their concern was this, that the fact that you have people who have to negotiate and make this decision regarding Trump, it's almost like it's a moral decision. This person has said and done things that go counter to many people's moral compasses. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I
I feel
agree.
like, okay. Oh, go ahead.
I was saying that I don't know. I feel like with Trump and showing all his ideologies and the type of person that he is, at least for me, that's what it comes down to. I feel like there's basic things that he lacks to run a country. You know what I mean? Like empathy, caring about other people. I just feel like he doesn't. So I think you don't have to be a racist, but I feel like it's no middle ground for that kind of thing. You know what I mean? You're
Right.
either racist or you're not. You can't really support a racist and not be a racist. I don't know how that works.
But Trump says he is the least racist person in the room that he knows.
That's because he
We
couldn't
all-
see.
Like,
Like,
which
Only-
we all know that is for sure, and that's cap. But I think that just like Dallas said, to support a racist, it's almost impossible, to support a racist and not be racist yourself. I just think that his votes, people that voted with him, in some sort of way or fashion, align with the way he views and sees things as far as his ideologies and viewpoints. As far as they may not care for people just like he doesn't care for people. They may, talk or degrade women like he degrades women. They may do all the stuff that he aligns with, and that's how he, got his votes. And then what Keith said, like him being able to do all those things and then get away with it, like some people that is scary and it's actually sad that some people might actually see that and they want to support it because they wish they could be doing that in a sense, and they may feel that with them being in office, they will be able to a certain degree. So I don't know.
So how do y'all feel about Black folks voting for Trump? Because I know a few people who are Black that voted for Trump.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. In fact, Maxine Waters has stated that she will not be able to forgive any Black person who voted for Trump.
Oh yeah, Taylor says she's back. If you want to add her, her internet was messed up.
Okay, good. So yes, Auntie Max, as she is known, has said that she would not be able to forgive anybody Black who voted for Trump. But shouldn't they have that right to vote for this man if he is their choice?
I mean, she didn't say she was going to take their votes away. She just saying she's not forgiving.
Yeah.
She's not going to disenfranchise them.
And
you know, if you vote for a man who hates you alongside with the people who look like you, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Black people that are racist of other Black people, so it's not like that doesn't that happens.
One of my colleagues, go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel like with Black people that voted for Trump, obviously they somehow, I don't know, saw something that he's doing or something that he's proposing and seemed good in it. But like Chelsea and Taylor just said, you know, with people that's Black being racist amongst their own community, and then, you know, voting for someone that doesn't even like you, like your race, I just don't see how it adds up. Now, me personally, if I were to know, like, I don't know anyone Black personally that I know that voted for Trump, but if they did, you know, and they expressed to me why, I could see that viewpoint, but I wouldn't agree with them at the end of the day. It would just be not being in agreement with them.
But you do have some Black celebrities. Isaiah Washington is one of them, who voted for Trump. You have 50 Cent, who claimed that he voted for Trump.
I feel like,
see, a lot of these rappers and Pump, all of them are kind of like washed out. If you want to think like
50 too washed out now.
They voted for Trump for their own selfish reasons.
I think you know, the main reason, you know, where you seeing these Black people that are celebrities, like rappers or whatever, that support Trump, it's more so, and it may be something else. I just don't know exactly what it is, but I know for the most part, it's more so the tax cut and not having to pay so much money back in taxes. That's what these celebrities are afraid of, because they may not, you know, some like you've heard it, like celebrities sometimes they showcase a false life that they may not actually be living. So a lot of these rappers may not actually have that much revenue coming in, and they know if Joe Biden gets to office, they're whatever little money they are getting, it's going to be cut tremendously. It's going to make them pay a lot of taxes, way more taxes than Trump.
So Ms. Nettles comes to us with another comment. Trump is a narcissist, so maybe he isn't racist. He only just cares about himself. That's why he degrades women and doesn't care for Black people. So I find it very interesting because I love that quote that she makes. I remember when Hurricane Katrina happened. And when Hurricane Katrina happened, Kanye West was the first one at the Hurricane Katrina telethon on television and said, quote, George Bush doesn't like Black people. Doesn't care about Black people. Mm-hmm. Now, he then goes to Camp Trump. And one day he calls him a Superman. I find that puzzling to me. Very puzzling. So Jocelyn says there is no perfect president. Biden and Harris, I believe, will work for the change that we've been waiting to see. So what are the changes that we want to see? What are some of these changes that we want to see?
I mean, I feel like we kind of keep going back to the same. But the change that we want to see is our people getting treated with respect and equality. I mean, that's the main thing for me, anyways.
That's what I would say to piggyback off you, Key. I think you just want to be heard for once, you know.
But that's the same thing that the Trump people are saying they want too.
But that's
his supporters are stating that they have not been heard. His supporters are saying they wanted Trump because he was not a career politician.
Okay, well they had
I'm sorry, I missed the point. What did you say?
they had their 4
Right.
What did you say, Taylor? Say it again.
they've had their 4 years.
Oh, they had their 4 years.
Mhm.
Well, what about them in the case of Barack Obama? Barack Obama, when he became president, a lot of people were concerned. A lot of people were saying, oh no, there goes the neighborhood, for lack of a better term, expression. So the question then is this. If you don't feel as though you've been a part of the process, Trump then apparently is your demigod. Trump comes off as the new flavor of the week, if you will. He is your candidate. So if he is your candidate, how do you think he got elected to begin with?
Wasn't me. I didn't vote.
He got elected the same way that they're trying to elect him now. They value his ideologies.
And the ideologies are xenophobic. What else?
He had Russian bots. He had the hackers. That's how he got elected.
Sure.
Do you think, though? I mean, and I'm sorry if I'm playing the opposing side. I think someone needs to. And again, by no stretch of the imagination do I support really the ideology of either per se. Again, I'm politically agnostic. So the thing for me is, what is it then? I come back to this question. What is the change that we have been waiting? I hear equality. What about the economy? What about healthcare? Because quite a few of you are going to hit that magic age where if you don't have a job, you're coming off of your parents' income.
I think that just comes into play what's important to each person, because I'm a vet, so I'm going to have healthcare for the rest of my life. So that's why that's not a main thing for me. So
Okay.
I think it depends on who you are.
What about somebody else?
I didn't even think about that, to be honest, with the healthcare situation. But I know that, you know, Trump was trying to get rid of Obamacare. So, yeah, that would be an issue. I don't know if he did it successfully or not. I just know that there was conversations about that.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things a lot of people are concerned about with the new Supreme Court nominee, or now the new Supreme Court justice. The new Supreme Court justice has now tipped the court to being very right-leaning or conservative. And the first item on the agenda, well, before the election issue, was the Affordable Care Act. They were on a mission to try cases with that. And so here's the funny thing. When you go back to the whole piece about the Affordable Care Act, it's about branding, because a lot of people, when at least his base, had no problem being recipients of the Affordable Care Act. But then when you put the word Obamacare on it, it became toxic to them. And to some degree, I think it's safe to say that they voted against their own interest. What did Biden do correctly to drive up his numbers so that he has over 70 million votes cast for him? What did he do correctly? How did he run his campaign? What were the issues that he touched on that resonated with everybody getting out to the polls? And I'll be the first one to say, as one who belongs to a Greek organization, it didn't hurt by putting a member of the Divine Nine on your team, and as a point of Bison pride, a Howard University alum. Didn't hurt with that. What are some of the other things he did to bring people to the polls?
I think a lot of people also voted for Biden in order to get Trump out of office.
But to get him out of office,
I'm sorry?
is Biden the perfect candidate? Do you think he's the perfect candidate?
I mean, I don't think either one of them are the perfect candidate, but I would rather Biden over Trump.
Neither one of them perfect candidate, but in this situation, Biden is the better choice to me personally. Because, like I said, they both have track records and they're not the prettiest.
But Biden will be the oldest elected person to the title of president. Oldest, which means that Kamala Harris is a heartbeat away from the presidency every day.
Trump is just a year younger than him.
But he's a year younger, but he was not the current age as being elected.
Mm-hmm.
That means there's an issue of an age challenge. Now, let's be real. If you're the president of the United States, you're going to have the best health care on the planet, period. I mean, go back and take a look at how Trump contracted COVID-19. He was a recipient of experimental drugs and went back out, continued to campaign. I think the main thing, though, that we have to consider is this. As I think, Dallas, as you put it out, youth represent the future. What is it that you're going to do? Regardless of the outcome of this election, what are you going to do to make sure that your agendas are heard? And when I say agenda, your items on the public sphere agenda, what are you going to do to make sure that they're heard? Every one of you. I'll start with you, Taylor.
I know. I mean, getting out and voting was obviously, but depending on who gets elected after. Sure.
Okay. Chuck, what about you?
For me, I vote, like Taylor said, getting out of voting, but I'm trying to stretch my friends and my peers more so trying to understand people and have
I'm hearing somebody eat.
It's not me.
Somebody eating.
No, but it's not me.
It sounds like a bad mic. So I'm going to mute the mics, just like we're in class, to identify the offending mic. And I think I've found it. Taylor, you have a bad mic.
I was about to say.
Dallas, what about you? What are you going to do, regardless of the outcome of the election, to make sure that your agenda items are going to be heard?
I personally feel like me by myself obviously wouldn't do much change. Black Lives Matter, Me Too, and things like that you can support to ensure that there's change, because I do think they have a big impact on society. So I think just supporting some of the already momentous social movements that we have within the country.
Key.
Same. And then I guess me with having a little bit of a platform, just speaking out for, equal rights for African Americans.
Chelsea.
Use that.
Thank you. Chelsea. And she bounced. Well, having said that, I'm going to go ahead and let you know currently where we are. According to CNN, Biden has gained on Trump in Georgia. As we look, there was initially a 13,000 vote margin. I'm assuming that has gotten smaller. They still have not called the election for either candidate, but we are where we are. And hopefully by the time we get together, which will be next Thursday, for one of our final shows, of which you all will talk about, you all will create. I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out. We'll have some closure to this piece, to this election cycle, because it's been a big one. There's been a lot of things that we have to talk about, a lot of things that we have talked about. Pandemic is one of them. On that note, I want to thank all of you for joining us. We're going to keep the faith, as they say, and we're going to be back next week, hopefully with a winner of this contest. Until then, be safe. Do yourself a favor. Peace.
Mm-hmm.